If you want to go into your organization and you want to teach skill-based, rule-based, knowledge-based, and all that stuff on an academic perspective, you're going to lose them in the first minute and a half of your presentation. Just forget it. Hang it up. It's not going to work. Let me see a show of hands. How many of you have tried it? Can I see a show of hands? Did you have great results? Is there anybody in here who has done some, and I'm not just talking about getting people to use the tools, I'm talking about a little more globally than that, in your organizations have initiated some human performance enhancement efforts and you're really satisfied with the results? Can I see a show of hands? Okay, hold your hands up high, please. Everybody in the room, look at these hands that are held up. You want to talk to these people, okay? Because they're doing something right. I'm going to tell you a quick little story where I really got some great insight into this. Those little tools handbooks that were sitting at your tables when you came in this morning, I actually developed those when I was working at the Vermont Yankee Nuclear Power Plant, and we were in the process of rolling out an initiative that I'll tell you more about sometime on Thursday. Anyway, I was in the training department at the time, and I didn't want to be some training geek rolling this stuff out to the entire site population. So we enlisted the support of a really bright, hot-running auxiliary operator. An auxiliary operator in a nuclear power plant is a guy that's out in the plant at the generation facility turning valves and stuff like that. Doesn't have a license, you know, one of those folks. So anyway, this guy's name is Derek Jones, and I brought Derek up and I took the little tools handbook out and I'm showing it to him and explaining what I want to do, and he kind of holds his hand up and he says, "You know what, Tim?" He says, "I don't think I'm the right guy to help you do this." And I said, "Why not?" And he said, "Well, because, you know," he said, "I really could care less about all this human performance mumbo jumbo." Those were his words. Then he said, "However, give me something to help me do my job better and I'm going to use it." And I got a big old smile on my face and I looked him right in the eyes and I said, "Derek, you are exactly the right guy to help me do this." So we had the Derek and Tim show and we rolled that out, and I'll share the result. That was the beginning of an effort that really led to the founding of PPI, and I'll share those results with you sometime on Thursday. All right, so I want to talk about human performance from a little bit different perspective then. How many of you have seen this formula before? Can I see a show of hands? Tony already told us that HU stands for what? Human performance. So what does the B stand for? Behaviors. How about the R? Results. All right, so human performance equals behaviors plus results. So if I put this up here on the flip chart, human performance equals behaviors plus results. So let's put this into words. And this is our definition. And I hope you'll take this definition to heart for the rest of this conference and for all the rest of your efforts in implementation and influence. Human performance, if this is behaviors, human performance is how we do what we do. Human performance is how we do what we do. Now, a couple of folks earlier today already alluded to this. I know James did, and I know Tony made mention of it, in the fact that we've kind of pigeonholed this concept of human performance to mean use of the error elimination tools, or the HU toolbox, or the toolkit, or whatever you want to call it. It is so much more global than that. Let me ask you a question. To what does that apply? Everything. How we do what we do applies to everything. Would you agree with that? All right, now, so if we focus on this, how we do what we do, how the senior leader in your organization conducts his morning management meetings, for example, how a shift supervisor on a crew conducts a pre-job brief at 3 o'clock in the morning before some folks are going to go out and do something. Those types of things. How we do what we do becomes very, very global. When you start thinking about it this way, and then you start thinking about influencing behaviors, and then we move that into combining those behaviors into transforming the culture, this is how we achieve long-term sustainable performance improvement. One of the things that I want to highly encourage you to consider in going forward is do not accept any short-term Band-Aid fixes. Now, there can be some acute things you might need to address, but in your efforts as human performance improvement professionals, which you all must be by virtue of being here, always recognize the key is to transform the culture of your organization. Okay? And that's exactly what we're going to talk about doing in the next 3 sessions. Or today in the next 2 sessions. Hey, that's cool. I can get stereo microphone. All right, so I want to lay a little bit of a foundation. Now, one of the things I am horribly guilty of is changing slides at the last minute. And I added this slide about 15 minutes ago. These 2 slides, actually, because it kind of ties together a lot of the stuff we've heard already throughout the day today. Now, this is the foundation of this philosophy that we call practicing perfection. It's 4 simple precepts. And I think you'll see when I put them up here how they've pretty much already all been talked about today. All right? So, precept number 1 is, and I'll give you time for those of you who want to write these down. If you write quickly, I'll give you a minute to write them down here. Things are the way they are because they got that way. In my opinion, this is one of the most brilliant phrases any human being has ever come up with. And I ripped it off out of a book somewhere, so I didn't come up with it. I'm not patting myself on the back there. Things are the way they are because they got that way. Why is this so fundamentally important? Well, there's an entire class going on right across the hallway that is designed to help identify after the fact how to figure out how things got that way. Would you agree with that? What are they learning across the hallway over there? How to do what? Root cause analyses and the new coding scheme and everything that NERC has come up with. So the whole point is, relative to anything, the culture in your organization, a current issue you may have going on in one of your departments, an issue with another person in a relationship that you have, things you have going on at home, everything is the way it is because it got that way. And if we want to look at it, from a systematic or systemic aspect, what this means is there is a reason why everything is the way it is. Now, if we want to change something, what makes more sense? To go after the reason or to chase after the symptoms? What makes more sense? To focus on the reason, right? So that's one of the reasons why this statement is so powerful. Have any of you ever had an experience in any of your organizations where there was a whole lot of time, energy, and resources spent chasing after symptoms of a problem? Anybody other than me ever had one of those things going on? All right. So the reason this is so powerful is, first of all, we want to understand there's a reason why everything is the way it is. And then what that implies to us is, if something isn't exactly the way we want it to be, we have the power to what? Change it. All right? Now, I want to bring this home personally real quickly for one moment before we move on and talk about, on a very personal level, what this really comes down to is the power of choice. And that power of choice is really what separates human beings from all other living creatures on the planet. We have the power to choose our response in any given situation. Would you agree with that? Now, one of the key insights that we really like to talk about is this, and again, if you're writing things down, you might want to write this statement down. The choices I make dictate the life that I lead. The choices that you make dictate the life that you lead. The choices that you make dictate the life that you lead. There is no more powerful aspect in our lives than the choices that we make day in and day out and day in and day out and day in and day out. And I'm going to prove it to you. If you were to take every single choice you have ever made in your entire life, all of them, and you put them all together, all of those choices combined have brought you at this time in this place, sitting in that chair, listening to me talk. So, for the stuff that's going really well in your life right now, congratulations. You've obviously made some good what? Choices in that area of your life. On the other hand, all of us have aspects of our lives that are not exactly as we would love them to be. And unfortunately, some people have aspects of their lives that flat out suck.